and welcome to Shell Point Today for Monday, September 14th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. Thank you for joining us for today's program. Coming up, Heather Battey of Resort Services will visit with Rob Ravis to learn about the latest in eyewear technology. Teri Kollath and Jeff Cory will talk about lowering your taxes, and Professor Adrian Kerr is back to tell us the story of China.
But first, we want to remind you the 2015-2016 concert series is coming soon, with the first concert taking place in early November. You can read all the details of these concerts and the complete schedule in the Music in Motion brochure you received in the mail. You can also pick one up at either service desk. Something new this year is a way to purchase your tickets on the Shell Point website. Simply visit shellpoint.net/concerts. Click here to order tickets and check which performances you want.
Well, it's time to get some fresh, ready-to-cook seafood at your door. Don't worry, we're not talking about another approaching hurricane or tropical storm. Seafood at your door happens tomorrow when the big green truck from the Island Seafood Market in Matlacha comes to Shell Point. Head on over to the Village Church on the island for the opportunity to purchase some of the freshest seafood around, caught daily in the Southwest Florida waters. Grouper, snapper, shrimp, hogfish, I'll spare the jokes on that one, clams, and more. For ordering or for more information, give Caitlin Van Scoy a call at 454-2057. The seafood truck will be available from 9 a.m. till noon. And now, Mary Kay, who's an avid golfer, is going to talk about golf.
Well, thanks, Rich. The Shell Point Golf Club is looking for golf player assistants. Volunteers will be equipped with a golf cart and a radio for their duties. The shifts vary based on players on the course, but are typically from 4:30 p.m. to approximately 7 p.m. You do not need to be an avid golfer for this volunteer opportunity, and training will be provided. For more information, please call Melody Desolé at 454-2290. What, are you cleaning your glasses now in the middle of our TV show?
Oh, well, I just thought since our next segment is on ophthalmic lenses, that's a fancy word for eyeglasses, that I would just get ready with my glasses. Anyway, the latest technology in ophthalmic lenses, or eyeglasses, is our next topic. Heather Battey is standing by with Rob Ravis. He is a consultant with Essilor of America and has the lowdown on a great non-glare lens technology that helps protect your eyes from UV rays and your lenses from smudges and scratches.
Hi, I'm Heather Battey with Resort Services. Today I'm here to introduce an upcoming Health Connection program. I have with me here today Rob Ravis, and he is from Essilor of America. Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for being here with us.
Sure.
Now, can you tell me, what is Essilor of America?
So Essilor of America is the world's largest manufacturer of ophthalmic lenses, or eyeglasses.
Okay. So this program that you're going to be presenting is Prevencia, the latest in eyewear technology.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So Prevencia is part of our Crizal line, which is a non-glare technology for lenses. And non-glare products that are applied to a lens will allow more light through the lens itself so everybody can see a little bit better. It also has some components to it that allow for better scratch protection on your lens, as well as resisting smudges, repelling dust and dirt, and it protects you from UV. Most importantly, with Crizal Prevencia, it has what is protecting a blue-violet light spectrum, which they found is a risk factor associated with retinal cell death that might lead to age-related macular degeneration.
Now, you get this lens on any type of glasses, or?
Correct. So with these non-glare treatments, the lens itself is separate from your prescription. The doctor will give you a refraction, determine what you need to help see better, and then this is added to the lens as a treatment, and it goes through a specific process that's bonded to the lens itself. And then with that, it has all of those additional properties that protects the lens and helps you see better in certain situations, and then protects the eyes from this blue-violet light that we're finding is being emitted from not only the sun, which is the largest source of blue light, but LED devices and compact fluorescent bulbs.
Oh, wow.
That's right. So LED devices are or LEDs actually are what power all of our handheld devices,
Right.
laptops, iPads, televisions, computer screens. So it's everywhere and it's more prevalent than ever. So it's important that we prevent with something like prevention.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear, especially with the handheld devices that we use every day. So can you also get this like on those reader glasses that you can get just from the store or?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
So Crizal is a product that is exclusive to independent eye care professionals, and it will go specifically with a prescription eyeglass lens that is dispensed by your eye care professional.
Okay.
When you buy a reader, it's just something that's been pre-manufactured and will be kind of sitting on the shelves in any kind of store that you can pick up for a
Sure.
couple of bucks.
Right. Okay, perfect. So will you have some of these glasses or the lenses with you at this program?
Sure, and as a matter of fact, I'm wearing a pair right now.
Okay.
So that you can see that it's not overly obtrusive, it's not something that most people would even be able to detect I'm wearing.
No, you can't.
Yeah, and then I'll be able to pass around some demonstration lenses so that people can see it firsthand.
Wow, well, great. It definitely sounds like an interesting program. So if you're interested in going to this, it's on Friday, September 18th at 1:15 in the Social Center. Thank you, and stay happy and healthy.
This Thursday, you can learn to lower your taxes and increase your income. The Legacy Foundation and the Academy of Lifelong Learning present this financial seminar at 10 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room. To tell us all about it, here's Teri Kollath and Jeff Cory.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teri Kollath, and I'm here today talking with our executive director of our Legacy Foundation and a guest he's bringing to Legacy Seminar #1, which is called Lower Your Taxes, Increase Your Income, and Not Outlive Your Assets. Jeff, this is certainly something we're all very interested in. I'm sure you have good reason for bringing your guest today.
Sure. Reina Schlager has been a part of the Shell Point community for a number of years, providing excellent advice to our residents. She's really got a great background in taxes, investments, and as you know, the last few weeks we've heard a lot about the markets, and so outliving your assets is certainly a timely topic.
It is. It's on everyone's mind. Reina, since you know us, and you've been in our community speaking so many times, the great thing for us is you can talk right to us about where we are. We have contracts. We're a certain population, and that's not only your interest, but your expertise.
Yes, yes. Years ago, it must have been the late 1980s, I actually met Dave Moreland from the sales office.
I'll say no more.
And it was really a lovely marriage.
We hear now, it seems like there's so much media. It's coming at us on our portable devices, on television, all these ideas about what we should be doing. Is it really that capricious, or are there some specific things we can focus on?
Oh, there's definitely specific things. The perfect storm is for somebody who's planning to come to Shell Point to sit and actually tax plan even your closing date. I worked with one prospective resident whose closing was something like December 15th, and we figured out what a maximum tax savings would be if we just had that closing date being the beginning of January. Wow. And it allowed them to convert an IRA to a Roth IRA, wow, changing something from taxable to tax-free without a cost. So it's very strong.
And up front what's really good. What can we expect? I mean, our legacy seminars are very popular, and I know people are going to want to come, but what can we expect when we come and we're sitting down with you on Thursday, September 17th?
Well, a lot of people don't dream about tax returns, okay? But especially in tax season, I talk in my sleep. I see those returns. But most people don't put the disciplines of tax and investment together. So if your investment person, or if you're your own investment person, is not looking at your tax return in making certain investment decisions, not just on where you invest, but where you're pulling your money from, you could be saving tax dollars to a great degree. It's a very big difference if you are putting that tax piece into your investment and distribution decisions. You know, we're talking about lowering your tax bill, increasing your income. That could be done in one transaction. Not outliving your funds could be a function. If you're not paying those dollars to the IRS, they're staying in your accounts and allowing it to be there for you when we hit volatile market times. So for the volatile market, I do have to basically say, turn off the television, turn off the late night radio about the world coming to an end, go swimming, go on the golf course, enjoy, and let the financial professionals protect your back.
And we've got them. We have our own Legacy Foundation, and we have experts like you coming to talk to us. What a great place, right? Hope to see you there. Legacy Seminar #1 for the fall semester of the Academy of Lifelong Learning, 10 a.m., Grand Cypress Room. Please call either service desk to sign up.
Well, let's see. We've talked about eyeglasses, finances. Now, how about a little history? It looks like the good old professor is back, and this time Adrian Kerr is coming to educate us all about China. It's the most populated country on the planet, and Professor Kerr will examine its historical impact, religion, and culture. Tomorrow is part 1 of this exhaustive look at China, beginning with its prehistory and early times. Here's Teri Kollath and the professor to tell us more.
Hello, I'm here with Professor Adrian Kerr. We're talking about the first series he's giving for us this fall semester, and we're going to do the story of China. Let's talk about part 1. Thank you for joining me, Adrian.
Thank you, Teri. It's always a pleasure to be at Shell Point.
I wonder how you always pick a country whose history really starts to matter to us because of what's going on right now.
It's interesting that I've probably backed into many of these civilizations because of exactly that, inquiring, you know, why is India important? And suddenly it seems, why is China suddenly important?
So, big country, China's a big country, many, many, many people. Yeah. There's not one place that's truly China representative in the country, is there?
Not anymore. In the early days there were, but nowadays it's such an enormous real estate that there's no one area which signifies a typical China. Although the people of China today, although they have many ethnic backgrounds, would say that they were Han Chinese, the word Han, from the Han Dynasty, which is when the culture, the spirit of China began to evolve. And although since then there have been a number of people in the west part which are clearly not Han, they're Islamic folk. There are people in Tibet, for instance. There are people in the north near Korea, and there are Mongol-type people on the border. So there's no commonality, but nevertheless, if you ask a person in China today, who do you associate with in the past, they would say they were Han Chinese.
Well, you are going to begin 400,000 BC with Peking Man.
Yes, the humans got off to a slow start in the Far East. They started in the Middle East and then, of course, southern Europe and elsewhere. But they gradually moved eastwards to India by land and then into Southeast Asia, and then finally pushed up into what is a fairly long distance from Southeast Asia up into northern China, where the weather is very different. It's less hospitable than rice growing in Vietnam, for instance, which has gone back thousands of years. So you start to see humans reaching the east side of China 500,000 years ago or so, and we see evidence of that. And they've been, interestingly, the oldest skeleton that was discovered was dated about 400,000 BC, and he was called Peking Man. Now, nowadays, nobody refers to Peking, it's Beijing, but yet the name Peking Man still stays with us, because the explanation to that, by the way, Teri, is that all these ancient words like Peking was the Western interpretation of what the Chinese called their city. And there was really a step change, a crossroads which occurred tens of years ago when the Chinese decided they were going to establish the true proper name for all their cities. And some didn't change, but some did. And for instance, we have Nanjing and Nanking, which is confusing. Same city, but different names. We have Peking becomes Beijing, because that's the proper pronunciation. So it is a little bit confusing as to what to call these places.
And fascinating. Well, in session 1, we're going to go from Peking Man all the way to Confucius, Taoism, and legalist philosophy. That's our first class.
Don't be frightened. China was very slow in becoming a civilization compared to the Middle East, for instance. Distance of development was one thing, climate was another thing, but for one reason or another, China got off to a very, very slow start. So when the Egypts of this world were dominant and the Mesopotamian civilizations were dominant and Turkey was dominant, China was just getting started. In fact, China, as we know it today, started on the Yellow River, so-called because of all the silt that's brought down, and their wheat cultivation started much later than civilizations in the Middle East, but that's the beginning of ancient China. And for the first 500 to 1,000 years, China, as we know it, was basically a number of towns, villages in the wheat-growing area receiving water from the river, allowing them to cultivate wheat. And that's where the population started to grow initially. So we see not a unified China, but a number of warring states, we'd call it, with kings and warlords and turmoil. Sometimes they coalesce into 2 or 3, sometimes there's multiple ones. And China has got a history, as it has today, even the last 50 years, of going from stability to chaos, stability to chaos. It's a common theme in China, and we look back at the rise of Mao Zedong and also the communist government, we say, oh, that's China today. Most people think, oh, it's a communist country, but it's only been around for 50, 60 years. That's a very short time for China. You know, we measure dynasties in 200, 300, 400-year periods. So it's interesting, as we'll talk in the end of the series, of where China's going and what the future is for the interesting combination of communism and capitalism.
Well, part 1 is certainly going to be fascinating, and we'll talk to you again as we get further into the series.
Thank you, Teri.
Join us, please, on September 15th, a Tuesday morning, our History Morning with Professor Adrian Kerr.
And now it's time to check out today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections, right after this Listening to the Words update from David Howenstein.
Many people living here at Shell Point are going to hear themselves spoken of on this week's edition of Listening to the Words, which is dedicated to grandparents. Look at what happens when Granddad pulls up to the house in his new tomato red Lincoln convertible with the top down. Listen to a detailed description of Grandmother's pillow, including the time when Sister's cat curled up and delivered 3 infinitesimally small naked kittens there. Note how a granddad employed humor to overcome his solemn home life. Enjoy the slight but savvy poem celebrating the cycle of shaving between grandfather and grandson. Learn from a long and loving look at Grandpa's hands. Hear a Shell Point grandfather's story about the time his mother almost lost her 4-year-old grandson who had fallen through the ice into a neighbor's pond. And your mind's eye will see the wink and a smile of a grandmother as she carefully reminds her grandson not to come to visit empty-handed. That's all coming your way this week on Listening to the Words on Channel 12 at Shell Point, and it's on every day, every hour, day and night for your listening pleasure. So thank you for listening to the words.
Welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. My name's Bev Chandley, and this is Caitlin Van Scoy, and we're going to tell you the activities that we have here for you today at Shell Point. We're going to start at 8 o'clock. We have a trip going out today to Everglades City Airboat Tour. That court pickups begin at 8 o'clock on the island, 8:10 for the Woodlands, and 8:20 for Eagles Preserve and the Estuary. Also at 8 o'clock, we have the men's round robin doubles tennis down at the Woodlands. Now from 8 until 5, we have the mobile mammography bus parked at the Village Church. Virtual bowling will be at the Resident Activity Center at 8:45. 9:15, we have billiards in the Resident Activity Center. Also at 9:15, the Lollygaggers paddlers will be going out from the kayak storage for their weekly trip. And then we have one more 9:15 activity today. Pottery will be going on in the pottery studio. At 10 o'clock, the men's round robin doubles tennis will be at the Woodlands tennis courts. 10 o'clock, the Susie Q heads to Matanzas on the Bay for lunch. Sign up is required. The Parkinson's Enrichment Group will be in the community room of King's Crown at 10:15. And the Disciple Men's Bible Study Group will be in the game room of the Woodlands at 10:30. 10:45 is the time for table tennis. There's a playing clinic going on down in the Tarpon room. And we have a Health Connections class at 11:30, agility and flexibility. That is in the health club, and that's currently full. That wraps up the morning. Here's Caitlin to tell you what's going on later today.
Thanks, Bev. We start the afternoon off with Mahjong being played in the Woodlands. That's in the Sable Room at 12 o'clock. And then Samba the card game will be played in the Resident Activity Center at 1:15. We have another 1:15 activity, Tone Chimes. They'll be gathering in the Osprey Room on the island. And then we move to 1:45 for a Health Connections class. That's Balance and Mobility Training Level 1 in the Health Club. And that one's currently full. At 2 o'clock, we have the Beady-Eyed Bead Club meeting in the Oak Room at the Woodlands. And then at 3 o'clock, another Health Connections class, Pilates Stretch. That'll be in the Health Club. At 3:15, we have the Shell Point Singers rehearsal in the choir room at the Village Church. And then we move all the way to 5 o'clock for the singles table. That'll be available at the Crystal Dining Room. At 6:30, we have Duplicate Bridge being played in the game room at the Woodlands, and that wraps up our evening. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Teri Kollath with the first day of the fall semester of the Academy of Lifelong Learning. At 10:15, we'll have an iPad class. Why do I need one? In the Manatee Room of the Island, and sign up is required. At 10:30, Anatomy of Words will take place in the Oak Room of the Woodlands, and all are welcome. At 1:15, Computer Basics on Mac laptops will take place in the Technology Teaching Center, and sign up is required. Yes, we have an instructor teaching on Macs. Take a minute to read more about this class in your Academy brochure. Tomorrow we have a new class coming. It's with Professor Adrian Kerr, The Story of China, part 1 of a 6-part series on China.
Menus for Monday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is a breaded pork chop served with escalloped apples and green beans. The dinner special is Old Home Cooking Night for $11.95, and the soup of the day is tomato. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a grilled fish sandwich with pineapple slaw and seasoned fries for $7.75. The dinner special is grilled tilapia with rice, pilaf, and spinach for $8.75. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, Randy Woods. It's my privilege to serve as the Minister of Worship and Music here at the Village Church. As we share so much at the church and here in the community, we realize that music is a very special gift that is wonderfully experienced time and time again here in the church and the community. I appreciate the words of Martin Luther, who said, "Music is the art of the prophets and the gift of God. Next to the Word of God, the noble art of music is the greatest treasure in the world." As I think about the gift of music, certainly it's my privilege to direct the Village Church Choir as they sing week after week and for special occasions. But I'm aware as well that in our community there are so many residents who share their time, their gifts, their love for music, their love for God through the gift of song. I think of the recorder ensemble as they meet week after week and play their recorders and then occasionally participate in special programs. And then the toe tapping that goes on in the Woodlands every Wednesday afternoon with jazz and stuff as they play those familiar show tunes, love songs, popular music that we've sung through the years. And you can be a part of that with a sing-along that you'll enjoy on Wednesday afternoon. Then as season gets to moving along here, you'll have the string ensemble gathering to play all the violins, the cello, the bass, as well as the tone chimes, ringing out, chiming out music, which is a lot of fun. There's a small ensemble called Nostalgia. That ensemble playing popular music Instrumental music will be playing for our Kaleidoscope concert coming up in October. The village church is pleased to have the bell choir called the Celebration Ringers. They too will be ringing throughout the season as we get our bells off the table and ring them out for the glory of God. And then, speaking of toe tappers, it's the line dancers celebrating through dance the joy of music. I trust that you'll be sure to check out the weekly reminder and make time to enjoy the gift of music. There are so many ensembles, so many different ways that you can participate making music here at Shell Point. As you read the weekly reminder, you'll note these ensembles, the times and places of rehearsal. You don't want to miss this opportunity to get involved and be a part of the gift of making music together. Johann Sebastian Bach said that music's only purpose should be for the glory of God and the recreation of the human spirit. Music was given to glorify God in heaven and to edify men and women on earth. It wasn't to make lots of money or to feed the musician's ego or to be famous. Music was about blessing the Lord and blessing others. We certainly experience that here as a community through the monthly hymn sings that go on in our community, times to sing and to express our love for God. And then in the fine and performing arts concerts, which includes world-class artists, ensembles, and of course, our own Southwest Florida Symphony. These concerts are scheduled throughout the season, and you'll find notification of those concerts coming up in the issues of Shell Point Life, as well as the weekly reminder. And then there's the inspirational music that's presented in the church's Season of Praise concert series, and that too will be announced in the Shell Point Life. Well, there are the regularly scheduled theater organ concerts in the Woodlands, the weekly church services, which includes your friends and neighbors sharing their gifts each week. And then another joy I have is to conduct the Shell Point Singers. And the singers meet every Monday afternoon at 3:15. I invite you to come and sing with us as we prepare to sing not only for our fall concert, Christmas and spring, but just to enjoy the fellowship, the friendship that is ours as we celebrate through the gift of music. The text says, "May your soul have the gift of music. May your heart be inspired with song. May the echoes remain in your memory, like a friendship that lasts your whole life long. When your joy is the joy of music, all the magical sounds you hear, every day that you spend with music is the best day, the best new day of the year." Certainly there are lots of opportunities. I trust that you too will step out and be a part of sharing the gift of music as we celebrate here in this community throughout the season.
Thanks for joining us for today's program. Return again tomorrow when Heather Battey will be back to find out what we need to know about dementia, and Teri Kollath will visit with Dr. Reese of Genonia to talk about vintage contemporary trends in literature.
This has been Shell Point Today for Monday, September 14th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again here tomorrow.